Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, you beautiful Americans? Welcome. It's Kevin Jackson here. It's Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. So glad you guys are here. Want to say real quickly, rest in peace, Officer Marcus McNeil, New Orleans cop who was killed on October the 13th. Shame, shame, shame. The criminals that are now targeting our police department, Barack Obama, for shame. For shame for what you did to put a target on the back of some of America's finest citizens, people who put themselves in harm's way. And trust me, there are going to be many, many, many other officers killed this year, next year, and going forward as the legacy of leftism continues. And let's just pray that Donald Trump is able to do more to protect law enforcement. We've got a movie coming out, bleedingbluemovie.com is where you can see the trailer. Just did our second trailer. Third trailer is going to blow you away. We'll start to really push this movie. We're going to wait until after the first of the year because there's a lot more to it than I originally thought. But I just want to let you guys know, check it out. We're going to be coming to you guys to help us get it out there into theaters, and you'll see the whole plan for it here shortly. Anyway, so here's where I can tell you folks, you're winning. Something happened over the weekend that goes to show you just how much you're winning. Now, I want you to picture this backdrop. George Lopez, one of the most vile leftists on the planet. Mr. All Things Mexican, Mr. All Things, let Mexico take over the United States. And why are you guys stopping Mexican people? He's Paul Rodriguez used to be the main Hispanic comedian, and he stopped laughing when the Democrats cut off the water supply to the valley and many Mexicans were out of work, and he found out just how heartless they were, and he stopped. The jokes quit on him. I think this guy's probably a staunch conservative at this point. But George Lopez took over the mantle of the Merry Mexican, and he goes out, preaching hate against America, preaching hate against conservatives and so on. So he's paid to host an event. It's a charity event for children. Now, I know a lot about these events because I put one on every year. It's called the Adoption Exchange, and we do try to get kids adopted in the St. Louis area, and we partner with the St. Louis Cardinals and many notables and so on. And, I MC it. I've got two other co-chairs of the event, a guy that's a ESPN sports announcer. I don't know who he's with now, but he's a sports announcer. And another guy who is a coach in the St. Louis area, trained a lot of people that have gone into the bigs. So we put this event on. And, what you do is you remove politics because you're talking about kids. You want to get, in our case, we want to get as many inner city kids adopted as we can. We get about 100 a year. And so we put the event on. You guys know how political I am, but I don't say a word about politics. I talk about the kids. I keep politics out of it. And you may crack a joke here and there and say something about Donald Trump's hair. You may say something about Barack Obama's ears, but it's all in good fun, nonpartisan, etc. George Lopez can't do that. So he decided he was going to do an event, and he started to bash Donald Trump. Now, you have to understand these events. The person putting on the event chooses the person that they're going to have emceeing it, and you get paid money to do this. I don't get paid money to do mine, but I'm saying you pay money when you get somebody to do it. So they pay money to have this event done, to have this person come in. So Lopez is getting a fat check to do this event. He comes in. It's generally the person hiring you is of your political persuasion because they don't want you doing stuff that doesn't fit their narrative. So they hire Lopez, a lefty, coming to a supposedly leftist event. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky, because I say this all the time. If you're fundraising, leftists make sorry people to bring to your fundraiser. They're looking for deals. They're not looking to really help kids. They forget the meaning. They're like, I'll try to give me some for like pennies on the dollar. No. So they got this audience of theoretical leftists with an organization that's been put together by a leftist. It's invited George Lopez to be its, chief funny guy to bring in, people and money and so on and so forth. So he starts ranting on Trump, and people boo him. Boo! Boo! Lopez can't believe it. He cannot believe he's being booed. He's so used to just going to an event, saying something negative about Trump, and everybody laughs. They didn't laugh. Now, I want you to let that sink in a little bit. Charity event put on by leftists, supposedly to help kids. Probably a Harvey Weinstein event, theoretically, or a Woody Allen event to help the kids, or Roman Polanski with the MC of the keynote is going to be Whoopi Goldberg. Well, rape is not always rape. That's what she said of Polanski. So he gets booed, but I want to play his. Here's what he says after he gets booed.
Listen, it's about the kids. All right. I apologize for bringing politics to an event. This is America. It still is. All right? So I apologize to your white privilege, but yes, I'm sorry.
What a shock to his system. A guy that's so used to getting the accolades when he beats up on Trump or beats up on conservatives. Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. You can also give us a call, 844-551-8255. I love this clip. And it's funny. Then he comes out, well, hold on. Yeah, it's this. I'm going to get my sanity back. See, that's the problem. Leftists don't get sanity back until something happens big, like Harvey Weinstein. Hey, by the way, did I tell you guys how big the Harvey Weinstein thing was going to be? For all the people who were saying to me, Kevin, what's the big deal? Why are we talking about Harvey Weinstein a lot? Yeah. And I told everybody, I go, look, I would get off this subject. I really want to get off this subject. The problem is it's much too large. So guess what? We're going to be talking about more of that today, because I had Shaq, I had Brett on the mic, Brett Siegel on Friday. Brett did a phenomenal job. I appreciate you hanging in there for doing that for me, buddy. Brett will be on quite a bit. And the reason is I got so many things I got going on. I got to go back and forth to New York to do some things with Fox, and then I've got a lot of speaking engagements and so on. So hopefully I'll get to your market soon, because the brother's in demand. And for the people who are evaluating my agreements right now for speaking, I'm just going to give you a fair warning. If you don't get them done, the price is going to go up. So, and there are people out there. I've got pending agreements, and I'm telling them right now. My PR people talk to me and say, Kevin, we're going to be raising the rates because we got too many people competing for you on the weekends to speak now. Anyway, folks, got a lot coming up, lots to talk about. Again, rest in peace, Marcus McNeil, New Orleans cop who was killed on October 13th. Back to you.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville. Can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. KJRadio.com. My book, Race Pimping. You can get it at racepimping.com. I was doing a segment on Fox over the weekend and talking about Sharpton's now, because we know, what was his name, Michael Wilbon of ESPN. He came out and said, Jerry Jones is, I'm just going to say it. Jerry Jones has this, plantation mentality or something like that. Do we have that clip? We don't have it. Okay, no problem. Yeah. So anyway, Wilbon alludes to the plantation mentality of Jerry Jones. So Sharpton comes out and he says essentially the same thing. And what's funny is you can almost bet that Sharpton looked at this and said, hey, this is a way for me to jump back on the whole racism bandwagon. So he did. And now Al Sharpton makes the same comment. So I go on Fox and Friends and they say, Kevin, what do you think about that? I'm like, hey, look, in fact, I'll just give you guys a little inside baseball. I sent Fox a note. I said, look, guys, as much as I enjoy talking about the subject of race, I talk about it a lot, needless to say. I feel like you got to give me more to do here. I don't want to just talk about race. These things have such a bigger implication. And so when I covered the segment, I go, you know what, I'm not even going to cover this seriously. They had David Webb on the show. David knows how to talk about race. He's a sharp guy. We talk about things differently, but he can handle that. America can handle that. What a buffoon it is for Al Sharpton to go, Donald Trump is, not Donald Trump, Jerry Jones, he's a racist and he's got a plantation mentality. Because I started the segment off by saying, where do I sign up? I will gladly go to that plantation at Valley Ranch and be a member of Jerry Jones's, what do you want to call me? Make me a slave? And I said, using that mentality, that Jerry Jones telling his players what they can or cannot do is a slave mentality, is akin to saying everybody who works in corporate America is a slave. Now, I personally believe to some degree we are all slaves. If you're working in corporate America, if you're not working for yourself, you're a slave. That's okay. We can define slavery in degrees. Slavery in the old days when black people were working, that was the worst it can get. That was when people treated you like crap. You had no insurance. You didn't get to take a break. And they fed you what they fed you. Now you're a slave, but at least you get a chance to set your standards. Isn't it true? Technically, we're all slaves. So if that's the case, I'd rather be that slave. Because, see, that's the highest level slave in the slavery chain you can be. Is to be a dude who's got an agent who goes out and gets him a multi-million-dollar deal. And what's he do for a living? He takes care of himself. You make me a slave. And so I jokingly said this because get this, folks. Millions of people, certainly more than at any time during Barack Obama's administration, millions of people under Donald Trump get up every morning and they go to their slave jobs where they have a thing called an employee handbook, an employee manual given out by a human resources department, what they call them now, people department, people managers. And these people managers say, here are the rules. And the rules are you must show up on time. You must leave at a specific time. You can take breaks at this time. You have a lunch period that's this long. And this is what's expected of you in your job description. And so there's all kinds of rules. And these people, these leftists act as if, well why are they going to go setting all these rules for black folks? They're setting rules for everybody, by the way. And speaking of these millions and millions, tens of millions of people who go to work every day in this country, speaking of them, the black folks that go to work every day in this country, they don't go to work and go, I'm going to go to work and I'm lucky to have made it here because of police oppression. And then when I get to work, I'm going to kneel. And I'm going to kneel during the workday as a protest to the brothers and sisters who are out there being killed by cops. They go to work, if they're smart, to do their job to the best of their abilities. If you want to protest something outside the fact, go for it. But on the work time, there is no responsibility of an employer to say, I'm going to indulge your social justice warriorhood so you can come in here and disrupt my job. or disrupt the jobs of others, but you're certainly disrupting my business. So these guys come in here, you can't get away with this anywhere else, but what do? We look the other way. Because why? They're multimillionaire professional football players or basketball players or whatever. They're employees of a corporation. See, I keep coming back to that point because that's an important point. These are employees of a corporation. No more, no less. They just make a lot of money. And you can't, I'd love to see the greeter at Walmart, some black person kneeling as you come in talking about, police abuse and all that. Trust me, they find another person to do it. And believe it or not, these high, caliber athletes, they can be replaced. I will tell you this. I think more Americans are willing to watch these guys get put in their place. I would watch substandard football, that doesn't meet the normal thing. In fact, I'd probably have more fun doing that because I'd be like, man, I might be able to get out there and play. We'll get out there. I don't need to see, Cam Newton. Yeah, okay, so what? He's a stud. To make a point, more Americans, I think, would watch, quote, scrub football than they would these professional baby, well, I was going to, there are more people that will watch us, normal guys play than will watch them. Or it'll do what it does. The sport will just go downhill. But anyway, that's not what I wanted to talk about necessarily, because the thing that got me because I wanted to talk about courage and the definition, but I'm going to save that because we got a little bit more time with this subject. But the idea is that Colin Kaepernick is showing some sort of courage. And I find that just amazing that's, a guy who is adopted by a white family who raises him and has obviously got racial issues, color issues, because he doesn't know what he wants to be. And it's courageous of him to get on a knee and say, look at all the oppression that's happening to my brothers and sisters or whatever. First of all, who are your brothers and sisters? The half black, half Italian people of the world? There's not that many. And we talking about the Italians? Or are we talking about the blacks? Or are we talking about the oppression of the white family who raised you and all the scrutiny they have to go through as to why is this kid revolting? Why is he rebelling? He's got no reason to rebel. I tell you what, Colin Kaepernick, I've got about 100 kids every year that we get adopted who would love to have had your upbringing. And I don't think they're going to be leading up in the life, getting older and going, oh, it's a terrible thing that happened to me. We have a video of a little girl who finds out that she's going to be adopted. I wish everybody could see that video. She jumps into the arms of the administrator of the adoption agency and is just beaming. And here's a guy who gets adopted, has a great life, could easily be going out and talking to young black kids and saying, you know what? I was just like you. I had issues. So a family adopted me, gave me a chance. You're going to get that chance. Go to orphanages and work with these kids. Get these at-risk kids. That's the ones we used to get adopted. Anyway, when I come back, I want to talk more about the definition of courage. Keep it here.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. The Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you have any advice for a young girl moving to Hollywood?
I'll get live with it. Harvey Weinstein invites you to a private party in the Four Seasons stuff.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. That was Courtney Love, and she's asked, what advice would you give to young women coming to Hollywood? And she says, I don't know if I could say that without being libel, meaning, she could get sued for libel. She really meant slander, but that's okay. And then she finally says, well, if Harvey Weinstein invites you to the Four Seasons for an after party or private party or whatever, don't go. Oh my goodness, advice for a lot of people. Who do you look out for in Hollywood? It's funny, as we research this topic of Harvey Weinstein and more things start to hit the surface, you start to get an understanding of how Hollywood works. And I told you guys before, I said, this story's huge. I told you the NFL story's huge. I told you Harvey Weinstein's huge, and I'm going to remind you of that because I want you to understand. It's like I have a couple of proteges. We're training some folks. One of them's name is Miranda, and I include her on a lot of the things that we do because I want her to understand my way of thinking. And it's the same thing I do with the radio audience. Look, I'm not trying to say I'm some sage. I really don't feel that way. People just tell me, Kevin, I would never think of what you thought about. And so I figure, okay, if you hear that enough, it must be something. But you don't know. I mean, how do I know? I figure everybody thinks like me. But here's the thing. So I'm looking at these subjects and I'm going, these are deeper. For example, and I'm not going to rehash it too much, but I got to remind you guys, the NFL thing wasn't about them taking a knee. That's a lie. We know that. We've been talking about that for ages. It's about the political correctness of one of the things that we haven't even thought of as capitalism because we've never had to. See, the NFL is a meritocracy. You work hard, you get to the NFL. That's the pinnacle of success for a young athlete that wants to play football. And here are 70% of young black men are dominating a business. They're dominating the business of a sport. And they can't even see it that way. I'll picture it this way, if you want to understand where I'm going with it. Imagine if Silicon Valley were 70% black. Does that help you put it in perspective? Now, if Silicon Valley was 70% black, what do you think would ultimately happen? Do you think Sergey Brin would be running YouTube? Or Google? Do you think Zuckerberg would be in charge of Facebook if Silicon Valley was 70% black? No, Kevin Jackson would be running it. One of my sons would be running it. I've got 2 sons in IT. 3 actually. My oldest 3 sons are all very brilliant in IT. They would be running that stuff. So we wouldn't be anomalies. So imagine if we put the focus, black folks, if black athletes put the focus they do in sports into IT, Silicon Valley, or some other thing. How would we be? What would we be? I tell people all the time, these young blacks are great marketers. They can sell sagging pants and clothes I would never wear. Hairstyles I would never wear. Speech I would rarely use. And I could go on. But people are just, they worldwide. Go to Japan. You see the equivalent of these young black thugs with Japanese looking faces. That's what you see. Same thing in China. I'm not telling you we're exporting the best of America, but we're exporting something. That culture is something these kids they gravitate to all over the world. So maybe we're really good at marketing. So imagine if we control, I'm talking about black folks. If black folks control Madison Avenue, not that I tell you I want it. I never want my kids sagging and wearing the stuff, but I'm just saying. If you want to put your mind to something, put it to something. So I want you to imagine, take whatever company you want and make it 70% black. Even if it was a white-owned organization, make it 70% black. And ask yourself, who would be complaining? Do you need the EEOC to step in with the NFL? I don't think so, right? You don't need the Department of Labor to get involved. If Kaepernick wants to take a knee and he gets fired, there shouldn't be a black person on the planet that gets upset. They're like, man, we dominate over there. Get another black dude. Who's going to replace Kaepernick? So it ain't going to be a white dude named Kaepernick. You know what I'm saying? It's probably going to be some young black stud who's, from the deep, dark recesses of somewhere in the South where black people are oppressed, and he's going to be a stud, and he's going to enter the league, and you're going to forget Kaepernick existed. That's what happens. So can we put it in perspective what exactly we've accomplished with the NFL? Transfer that to some other business and ask yourself, what would we be saying if black people dominated social media? What would Jesse Jackson say if 70% of the people, or let's use Reverend Sharpton, who called Jerry Jones a plantation owner, what would Al Sharpton say if Google had 70% black folks working at their company? Would he say Sergey Brin's a plantation owner? He wants his employees to show up and be productive, not worry about all this social justice stuff. He would say nothing. It would be some of the most well-paid, smartest people on the planet if they work for that organization. So see, that's why I tell you, when you really stop and step back and look at this stuff and you go, wait a minute, Kevin Jackson's pretty smart. But I didn't play that clip of Courtney Love to talk about that. I talk about how smart I am. I played it to talk about Harvey Weinstein and why I told you guys this story's huge. The reason why this story's huge is because it's exposing what we already know. That's why, forget Donald Trump being president. That's the big deal. What, a rich white guy becomes president? What's so big about that? Well, Kevin, he's not a politician. Really? So that surprises you. Inasmuch as Barack Obama, who had very little experience, he was a community organizer, failed at that, and he's president. And that surprises me, a black man. What should surprise you is his credentials. How he did it, not that he did it. Black people were going to be president. Why they chose that clown, I don't know. Donald Trump being president has practically zero impact on me. Kevin, it's a rich white guy, billionaire, became president. Who wouldn't believe that's possible? That's not the story. The story is around the fact that Donald Trump is, forget he bucking the system, Donald Trump, in terms of what he accomplished and how he accomplished it, and what is the underlying meaning of his being elected. What did he do, upsetting all of these various systems and things like that? That's the story. It isn't that a rich white guy became president. It's Donald Trump throwing a monkey wrench into a system that barely would allow a rich white Republican man to become president. Think about that. That's supposed to be the shoo-in. You're a rich white Republican. I'm talking about billionaire, can finance your own campaign and do. How are you supposed to lose? But where we were talking about, I don't know, he may not have a chance. And here he is. He's in there. How disruptive was that to the system? And what have been the further disruptions to the system? That's the focus. Why is it that his own people, Republicans, are fighting against Donald Trump right now? Why? How can that even be possible? How do we have control of the House, the Senate, and the judiciary, and Donald Trump is fighting harder than any president? Barack Obama walked stuff through, and he had none of it. I mean, he lost everything. How do you do that? Those are the stories. Those are the things we should be focused on. The idea that these folks are going after you, and Donald Trump represents you. He represents somebody who said, to heck with it. I don't care what y'all think. I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm going to do it. And he did it so completely different. There's an establishment way to do stuff everywhere along the way. Oh, he screwed up here. He's messed up here. The story is the story underneath Donald Trump. Donald Trump was supposed to be a shoo-in for president. So was Hillary Clinton. That's what's cool about that. They both were supposed to win. But then we figured out who was supposed to trump the other one, right? Women's rights were supposed to trump because we already had the black guy. We had competence versus incompetence. We had a crook versus a legitimate businessman who understood the crooked nature of business. I could go on. So many subtext and plots going on, and none of them had to do with the fact that a very wealthy white Republican man couldn't get elected. Heck, has anybody looked at all the people previous to that? Take out Republican, and guess what? They were all rich white men. So you threw Republican in the middle of it, and everybody, whoa, I don't know. But I want to talk about Donald Trump and the impact going forward and what it meant to what this Harvey Weinstein thing meant. And I want to talk about it in the context of how people view courage.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It's the Kevin Jackson Show. So happy you guys are with me. KJRadio.com. On demand 24/7 is how you can get the program. 844-551-8255 if you want to call me. Would love to hear from you. So Woody Allen speaks up on the Weinstein story. And you know what he says? Woody says, I hope the story doesn't spark a witch hunt. Woody Allen says he hopes the story doesn't spark a witch hunt. This is a man who adopts a young Asian girl. I don't know what age he adopted her. Young. He was married to Mia Farrow at the time. And I will admit, Mia Farrow's a piece of work. Holy cow. She's crazy. But you know what? Divorce your wife and go find somebody else. Not your daughter, Woody. This man is normalized having a relationship with your daughter, grooming her, if you will, until the time that she comes of age, and then you decide you're going to, and for the record, I don't know, when did Woody Allen start having sexual relations with his daughter? It's crazy. So he chimes in on Weinstein, and Twitter erupts. Get this. I don't know if this is true, but I saw this in a tweet. His current movie, Woody Allen's current movie, is about a father who is sexually attracted to his daughter. And the guy who put the tweet out says, an autobiography? How would you dare, as Woody Allen, I mean, talk about slapping America and the, I don't know, the normal world in the face when you're the guy who marries your own daughter and then you make a movie about it. I'll admit something to you guys. Woody Allen's stand-up is absolutely hysterical. The dude is brilliant in terms of his comedy. Truly is. And I say that, I mean, with a bad taste in my mouth because I can't stand this guy as a leftist. Because Woody is one of these guys who's so brilliant in his craft that he formulates these crazy ideas. If you ever see the movie Bullets Over Broadway, it's one of my favorite films, a Woody Allen film starring Chaz Palminteri. And Chaz Palminteri, that is truly his best acting role. I mean, the dude is just a gifted actor, but that show is amazing. He plays a mob guy who has to look over his boss's girlfriend as she wants to be in a play, and she can't act. It's played by Jennifer Tilly. And she's a horrible actress, but the mafioso finances the play and then tells his number one guy, you got to watch out for her, to make sure they give her good parts and stuff. Don't let them cut no roles from her or nothing like that, right? So he plays her big Goomba who when they go to cut a roll, he'll say, hey, the boss says you're not supposed to cut our rolls. Cut a roll. And he's like, but we got to, we want to edit. He's like, I don't care what you want to do. You cut our parts, you're going to get me. And he just sits out in the audience, but he falls in love with the play and he actually helps the playwright make it better. And it is absolutely, truly one of the funniest plays you'll ever see. And Woody Allen, I'm just telling you guys, whether you like the guy or not, what a talent, but what a jacked up dude. And I'm telling you, I think that it may be, I don't know, these Hollywood sensibilities, but anyway, that's where he did. He ends up marrying his own daughter. So another person said this. Her name is Mary Emily O'Hara is her Twitter name. And she says, so the Academy kicks out Weinstein, but not Woody Allen, Polanski, and Cosby? And, legitimate point. Why is it just what Hollywood wants you to believe is, hey, this is a Harvey Weinstein problem. No, this is a complete problem that's been going on in Hollywood for decades, as I talked about the other day when I mentioned Tippi Hedren, who was, hit on by Hitchcock. It was well known Hitchcock was doing this type of thing throughout Hollywood. It's been going on for decades. And they make out like, oh, it's something new. It isn't new. It's been happening since time immemorial. People want to be stars. They're willing to sell their souls. They're willing to do whatever. I remember the scene from Goodfellas where the Pesci's character, they got a couple of showgirls that want to meet him at the club, at the restaurant that he owned. So he shows up. They got these two showgirls in the kitchen. Pesci, you got to remember this scene from the movie. Pesci's talking to her, blah, blah, blah. He leads her out of the back door of the restaurant, gets into his Cadillac, and he doesn't even know her name. He gets into his Cadillac. She sits down on the passenger side. He's in on the other side. He just undoes his pants. And he's carrying on a conversation that she's probably like, whatever. It is so expected. And I swear, that is exactly how Hollywood operates. The people, don't be fooled by this. Weinstein is nothing. They know this is like a tip of the iceberg. Anyway, that's what Mary Emily O'Hara had to say. Roland Martin, who I crack up because I've torched Roland on Twitter a few times because he's just such a fathead leftist. He thinks he's an independent, but he's a ethnocentric, racist leftist. But here's what he said. Woody, I suggest you sit this one out. So he at least got this one right. Oh, my goodness. There was another one. No, this is the article itself I want to actually get into, which says Allen, who worked with Weinstein on a number of his films, said he'd heard rumors about the producer, but added, no one ever came to me or told me horror stories with any real seriousness. And I want to go back to the sort of how Hollywood operates. Woody Allen acts like somebody's going to walk up to him and go, hey, listen, Woody, this is really happening and you got to help me. And Woody's going to help. Would you go to Woody Allen to help you with a sexual harassment charge? Woody Allen is not the moral compass of Hollywood, given that he's married to his own daughter, at least. And again, pardon me, who knows when that started? This could be Woody could. Let's face it, he's probably a pedophile too. Man, just unbelievable. So he says this. And they wouldn't, she's talking about come to him. He says, and they wouldn't because you're not interested in it. You're interested in making a movie. He's saying, I'm oblivious. I'm not looking at your little problem with a guy I'm partnered with on this movie might be hitting on you. He goes on to say this, though. But you do hear some fanciful rumors all the time, and some turn out to be true. And some, many are just stories about the actress or that actor, this actress or that actor. Yeah, but actresses and actors hooking up on set, we get that. Look, I think that's the way Brad Pitt ended up breaking up with Angelina. In fact, that's how Brad Pitt broke up with, what's her name, Jennifer Aniston. We get that. Proximity to work, yada, yada. It's Hollywood. Nobody cares about relationships. So bada bing, bada boom, done. But producers and directors and, guys that own studios, come on. Don't try to play this off as just some little deal. But he goes on to say this. The whole Harvey Weinstein thing is very sad for everybody involved. Tragic for the poor women that were involved. Sad for Harvey that his life is so messed up. Sad for Harvey, rather, that his whole life is messed up. There's no winners in that. It's just very, very sad. And tragic for the poor women that had to go through that. That you ignored, Woody. One of whom was Mira Sorvino. Anyway, he says this. Also say, he hoped the revelations would lead to some amelioration, but he says you didn't want to lead to a witch hunt atmosphere, a Salem atmosphere, where every guy in the office who winks at a woman is suddenly having to call a lawyer to defend himself. That's not right either. We completely agree. But see, here's the problem. This is where Hollywood screws it up for everybody else. Remember, you're in an office or something, you say, hey, it's a nice dress, or I love your hair, or hey, you want to go out and have a drink sometime? Sexual harassment. What are you doing talking to me? It's sexual harassment. It isn't sexual harassment, but Hollywood has led to this. All this leftist progressivism that they brag about is why we're here. He says, but sure, you hope something like this could be transformed into a benefit. But I go back to one of the accusers of Harvey Weinstein was Mira Sorvino. You know where he started messing with her? On the set of the movie, The Mighty Aphrodite, that she made with Woody Allen. So right under his nose, one of his ingenues is getting harassed, and Woody Allen says nothing. He pretends it doesn't there. Oh, they might have brought it to me. All these guys are pretending as if, oh, it's new to me or whatever. They all know this goes on. And I think that's what America finds most offensive, is they want to test our sensibilities by saying, no, this is new and we've put in safeguards now. The Academy is going to kick people out. They kicked out one guy to make us believe they're doing something.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Holy cow, everybody. Welcome. Kevin Jackson here to Kevin Jackson Show. I honestly don't know where to start. I mean, we've got, obviously, the Weinstein stuff. We got NFL, drama, whatever you want to call it. And President Trump is rocking it, boy. Wow. The dude has gone bananas on the left, and I love it. What do you guys want to talk? I mean, we got a ton, seriously. We're talking pop culture. And here's what's cool about all of this, folks. This is the coolest thing that has happened in conservative politics in ages. It's all threaded. It's all threaded. All these things that are going on. The Weinstein stuff, spinning back on leftism, coming back around to being political, talking about the leftism and these people trying to disguise what they do, that their skullduggery. These people are criminals. They've been allowed to operate with impunity, and now we're finally getting to the bottom of it. Every social issue, gender issues, you name it. The war on women that supposedly has been fought by Jane Fonda and Hillary Clinton and all these leftist do-gooders, Susan Sarandon and all of them. What's happened? It's blown up in their faces. A freaking atomic bomb's gone off in America, and it only impacts leftists. What kind of bomb is that? We got the regular atom bomb, then we got the hydrogen bomb. Now we got, what, should we call it the Trump bomb? What? Or maybe we should just call it the truth bomb. Yeah, how about that? Let's call this segment the truth bomb. Leftists are getting a dose of the truth. We did a story. Did we talk about George Lopez getting booed? We haven't talked about that, have we? I talked about it on TV. George Lopez gets booed. Why? Because he started telling anti-Trump jokes. Yeah, we did talk about George. First hour, didn't we? Man, things go so fast around here, I forget. We talked about Georgie. Hey there, Georgie boy. Don't go telling anti-Trump jokes, Georgie boy. See, George Lopez thought he could bring his shtick to a charitable event. They're helping kids with juvenile diabetes, and he's up there anti-Trumping it. And it turns out a guy who donated $250,000 to the event. Hallelujah. I mean, that's more than we would raise at two of our events. That one donation. They said they raised $1.65 million. Lenny Kravitz performed. Now, Lenny didn't ever perform at my deal, even though I spent some time with Lenny when he came through St. Louis years ago. But look, This guy donated $250,000. He's like, hey, calm down on the Trump stuff. You know, I'm a Trump donor. I'm a Trump supporter. And the dude's like, George Lopez, you know, quips back at him and all this. So finally he catches himself and he apologizes. I think we played the clip. He apologizes. I'm sorry. You know, it's a children's event. It's an event to raise money, awareness for the kids. We're all Americans, blah, blah, blah. And he ends up leaving the stage after they introduces the film. They said he dropped an F-bomb and never came back to the stage. That's the classiness of George Lopez. Now I'm going to let you guys in on something. See, the left doesn't know this. George Lopez ain't funny. George Lopez is not a comedian. He started out as a comedian, and then he got lefticized. He got a truth bomb that went off, and he didn't realize it. And now he hates you. He hates you because you love your country, and you want Mexicans, which George Lopez is. He's more Indian than he is Mexican. He's what's called, they call it a mezcal. So he's more mezcal than he is Mexican, but he still, you know, professes to be, man, I'm from Mexico, man, I'm Mexican. And see, the stick, if you've ever seen George Lopez perform, he's not that funny. I'm just being honest with you. When he did a set at the, where was it? Not the Mirage, one of the bigger hotel casinos in Vegas. I'm not lying. The review on George Lopez was that it was same old shtick. It was heavy Mexican humor. You know, if you were a member of La Raza, maybe you would have thought it was funny. But if you're just a regular person looking for a few laughs, it went both ways. No way. The best that the comedy event got, at what, I forget where it was, but the best that it got was the opening act was pretty funny with his self-deprecating humor. It was a goofy-looking white dude who ended up doing the Running Man, which is a dance. And, you know, he's like an Andy Dick kind of a comedian. And the best they could come up with that show was the funniest part. They said Lopez's jokes fell flat. They were completely pedestrian. They were jokes like you'd read in a joke book. And I told people, look, I've been telling people for years, I study comedy. I love comedy. I'm actually pretty good at it. And I'll tell you this, George Lopez he was mildly humorous when he first came on the scene. He's not funny at all. And you know what makes these guys not funny? The Amy Schumers, the Lopez, and all these late night comics, they are so one-sided. They can't see the world and really see the humor in it because they're so busy trying to bash you. See, the thing is, I don't need to bash leftists. I can poke fun at them for their silly stuff. I can find many jokes in the idea that feminists don't want to really come down on Harvey Weinstein. I think that's funny. I think that Hillary Clinton actually came out and said something along the lines of, well, we've got a sexual predator in the White House. And we're thinking, no, Hillary, you and Bill are gone. Y'all left. You've been gone a few years. Maybe. See, I think Hillary does live under a delusion that she's president and Bill's still in the White House. Whoa. See, there you go. A little humor. The point is, there's tons of stuff to laugh at. I mean, I could make jokes about Weinstein, you know, seducing Ellen to get her back up to his place only to find out, Ellen's got a package. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I could make some funny stuff up about this. Oh, I could probably joke that Weinstein got drunk one night and he solicited Rosie O'Donnell to come back and one of his boys jumped in the middle of him and said, hey, and blocked. You know, hey, Harvey, you don't want to go that route, baby. Film could get out. Audio could be leaked. See, I can find some funny in this, but the late night comics can't. Jimmy Kimmel can't. Yeah, the groper. Jimmy Kimmel can't do it. Well, what's up with these guys? Look, there's some funny stuff out there. Oh my goodness. Hey, people have been asking me, where's Blake and Tim? So Blake's been busy. He's working on his show. I hope is successful. Tim Wilkins is Blake Grantham, by the way. Tim is in the midst of planning his wedding, and I haven't wanted to interrupt. So I will have those guys back. We're going to bring on some other comics as well because I want this show to be light. Anyway, tons to talk about. We're going to talk about the president. Good stuff. Keep it here.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Harvey Weinstein is expelled by the Motion Picture Academy. They're responsible for the Oscars. It follows growing list of accusations of sexual harassment and assault. The statement reads in part from the Academy Board of Governors. It states this: the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences Board of Governors met today to discuss the allegations against Harvey Weinstein and has voted well in excess of the required 2/3 majority to immediately expel him from the Academy. We do so not simply to separate ourselves from someone who does not merit the respect of his colleagues, but also to send a message that the era of willful ignorance and shameful complicity in sexual predatory behavior and workplace harassment in our industry is over. What's at issue here is a deeply troubling problem that has no place in our society. The board continues to work to establish ethical standards of conduct that all Academy members will be expected to exemplify.
Welcome, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. It is the Kevin Jackson Show, KJRadio.com. And we have the left now trying to pretend that, well, Harvey's the only one, and we've gotten rid of him, and life is good, and let's just all go back to normal. Things are good. The era of willful ignorance of sexual harassment is over. Hey, so send your girls to Hollywood. We'll take care of them. Oh, man, this is too funny. Hollywood is packing up. Y'all know this? That you can't get a moving van in Hollywood right now. You can't get a chauffeur. You can't get a private jet. You can't get a moving van. You can't even get a moving crew. I don't know. What are you looking at me for? I'm just kidding. I don't know if you can get a moving van. I know this. I had to go do a hit on Fox the other day, and they told me, Kevin, there's no drivers available where you live. You have to take your own car. And I'm like, what? The nerve of you. What do you mean I have to take my own vehicle? I want to be picked up. It's Hollywood up in here. I told him, all right, no problem. I'll drive. I'll go. And normally, I used to live like 5 minutes from the studio. Now I live like 40 minutes from the studio. And one time I was supposed to do a hit on Fox and the driver didn't show up. Probably got drunk. Probably partying with Harvey Weinstein. Yeah. Or Anthony Weiner. Probably sexting with Anthony Weiner and forgot about me. I'm out there in my, going, it's time. I'm looking out, hitting my blinds, trying to see who's out there. Nobody's showing up. And they're going to pick me up. Get this. Picking me up at 3 o'clock in the morning So I can go, well, it's probably earlier than that. It was about 2:15 because I had to do like a 3:15 hit. So I'm calling New York going, yo, what's up, New York? And Kevin, what do you mean the car's not there? I go, there's no car. There's nobody here. So it happens. Partying with Harvey, I bet you. Hollywood, getting out of town, looking to move to France to avoid pedophile charges. Yeah, or charges for other lewd acts. Who knows? You never know with those Holly weirdos, man. You know what? You have to almost put your earmuffs on when you hear stories about Hollywood, like what Weinstein would do. Angie Everhart, you know who she is? Y'all know who Angie Everhart is? She's a little bit before y'all's time, but what a dish. Redheaded girl, gorgeous model. I don't know. I can't remember the show's couple things, but man, I tell you, I was a huge Angie Everhart fan, and I don't find redheads that attractive. No offense, I just don't. But Angie Everhart, whew, yeah, baby. But yeah, she said Harvey did the same thing he did to that girl, Sivan or whatever, the Fox News lady. Yeah, he wouldn't let her out the door, and then does this thing in a plant. One of the comedians quipped, yeah, don't eat any of Harvey's herbs. Oh man, fresh basil? No thanks, Harvey. Little mint for your tea? No, thank you, Harvey. I'm good. I'll use artificial stuff here. But yeah, so he corners Angie Everhart. Pulls a fast one, pardon the pun, and won't let her out, and then says something like, hey, it's no big deal. Don't tell anybody about this. It's no big deal, or something to that effect. So she came out. It's been, what we're going to do, I'm going to write a post that's just all the people now that are finally going, yeah, Harvey pulled that crap on me. Because I want to get into this. I believe that people are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're all being talked about as being courageous. Courageous. The Academy is courageous. It has just gotten rid of Harvey Weinstein. And everybody's like, oh, well, it's good. I'm glad they acted so quickly. Really? What about the rest of you stooges? They said Brad Pitt almost threatened to be, he threatened to beat Harvey up twice. Once with, what's her name? Gwyneth Paltrow. I can't believe Brad Pitt dated Gwyneth Paltrow. I mean, come on, Brad. And the other time with Angelina Jolie. And I'm thinking to myself, look, I don't know how and Brad is supposed to be a conservative. I know his people, he's from Missouri, and I've been with his family members. And, Brad's supposed to be conservative. And I'm thinking, dude, you don't threaten. If you, said, hey, well, she's got nice whatevers or whatever, I'm just going to just pop you in the mouth and go, hey, you don't talk like that about my girl. I'm not going to I'm come over there and kick your butt. I'm just going to go with her, see you, and go, is this the guy? Yeah. End of story. They said, Stacey Dash said she made a film with Harvey, and she said her cousin was with her. Her cousin is a dude from the Bronx, I believe, or Brooklyn. No, from Brooklyn. And he went with her, and he said something. She said something along the lines of Harvey. He would make comments like, oh, this is really pretty. And her cousin said, not her, Harvey. And Stacey said, that was it. Harvey knew, you mess with me, my cousin's going to take care of you. See, that's the way. People are talking about, oh, Kevin, you can't send your kid to Hollywood. I can send my kid to Hollywood. My kid will be fine in Hollywood. Because let me tell you, number one, I'm going to be around him. And number two, I'm going to put it out there. Any one of you pedophiles, put your little, paws on my son. No police involved. No law enforcement involved. You're as dead as disco. Simple as that. And, you don't trust them. No, I can't coming over stand with you going on a Boy Scout camp out. No. But I might show up just to make sure you don't bother any other boys. Come on. Not me. And you either. I know you dads are out there listening to me. Kev, you so right, man. You mess with my kid. Yeah, you doggone right you would. You bust somebody up. Yeah, for somebody come along and on your wife's, naughty bits, what would you do? You going, oh, look at there. Unless you're a swinger or something, you're not going to be like, look at that. Hey, Fred, what'd you feel? Did you break a fingernail? My wife's butt? No, you're going to just go in there and go, what the hell? for me, I'm going to hit you fast. I'm going to hit you so fast, you're going to go, did you just hit me? Then you'll fall out. So, what else is happening? Rehab. Rehab is booming. You can't get into a rehab clinic near L.A. They're all booked. Sexual rehab. I don't know if that's true. I'm just making stuff up. But I wouldn't be surprised. They're all joining old Weinstein. He's in Arizona. We'll be back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Donald Trump made an amazing move on Obamacare. We're going to get to that a little bit later in the broadcast. We'll see what the outcome is. Cost of illegal immigration. I want to talk about cultural Marxism. I want to talk about Donald Trump dismantling Barack Obama's legacy, which is partially built on cultural Marxism. Well, before we get into any of that stuff, I want to make a few more comments about Harvey Weinstein's removal from the Academy. I want you to think about your job, whatever you do. You get up, you've been doing it day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. And maybe your company recognizes you if you're like, oh, top sales guy for a quarter or whatever. But no matter what they recognize you for, I guarantee you there's no national thing where they say, boy, get Kevin. He's an amazing sales guy. He went from local sales hero to regional sales hero to being recognized by the Academy of Sales. There's no such award. There's no academy for janitors. There's no academy for accountants, academy awards or anything close. You get your CPA, whatever, you get your check, and that's your reward. Your reward is a job well done. Hopefully you've saved your duckies, you retire, you get to spend a little time with mama and the grandkids before you cash in your checks, right? Cash in your chits. But that's it. But the Academy says, well, we're going to take Harvey Weinstein's films away or whatever. We're going to take him off of our register. Oh, no, don't do that. Please give me a second chance. That's what Harvey Weinstein said when he was going to rehab and the press was hounding him. I deserve a second chance. Really? 30 plus years of destroying women's lives and you want a second chance, Harvey? How many people tried to tell you, get a hold of yourself? We talked the other day. They wrote into Harvey's contract, they wrote his ability to go do what he did. Did it not dawn on you that you're writing? You're like, oh, and there's one other provision we need to put into Harvey's contract. This is his attorney. He was speaking for him. And he's like, yeah, Harvey needs to be able to indemnify himself in the event of rape. And they go, well, we could, we'll take a look at that, Harvey. But I mean, we've never had a clause like that. Yeah, I understand. But I'm a big movie producer, and there's going to be a lot of little starlets that come my way. And even though I've got a drop dead gorgeous wife, she is, man. Whoa, girl's hot. He's gonna, I need my sexual dalliances, and I need you to write it into my contract, Harvey. That was your second chance to go. What the heck am I talking about? What's his wife's name? I don't know her name, but woo. She's a hottie. And look, I get it. She could be a Halle Berry. She could be a high maintenance girl, but you got the money, man. If you, with everything Harvey had going, he should be able to, this woman was happy with him. She gave him kids. Had 2 kids by her. 2 kids. Beautiful lady. But yeah, so removing him, what cracks me up about Hollywood is like, we just took him off of the Academy. That's like that's the worst thing that could happen. No. The worst thing that could happen is the boys in San Quentin get to watch him shower. You know what I'm saying? And the guards going, I see nothing. That's the worst that could happen is you lose, you get kicked out of the Academy. Look, I get it. Holly weirdos are like, oh, I've got 6 Academy Awards. Told you guys will Harvey get his 7th now that the information is broken about him? What's going to happen with Harvey? Let me tell you what's going to happen with Harvey. His movies, doesn't matter. If it's got the Weinstein Company name on it, it ain't winning. It's that simple. They can't give awards to Harvey this year or anything with the Weinstein. His brother Bob better change his last name. Am I right? What would you do? Look, Bob blew the whistle because first of all, Bob is saying, Harvey did it to me. I'm nowhere like the other victims, but Harvey did it to me too. What did Harvey do to his bro? Is Harvey into dudes? Was he practicing on his little bro? What was he doing to his little bro? Or is it big bro? I think it's his little bro. Bob. Harvey and Bob. What were the parents thinking? Let's name the first child Harvey. And then, what do we do for the second child? I don't know. Let's call him Bob. Couldn't think of something else? Ira? Isn't that a big Jewish name? Ira? It is, isn't it? Come on, Brett. You're Jewish. Don't act like I don't know the Jewish names. Barry. Barry's a big time Jewish name, right? Barry. Yeah. Barack Obama, he could be part Jewish. How do you know? You don't know. How do you know? You don't know either. That's right. Yeah, so getting kicked out of, it would be like somebody saying to me, when I was in engineering, Kevin, we're going to kick you out of the National Society of Black Engineers. Okay, no problem. but I avoid prison. Right, okay, all right, no problem. See, this guy should be in prison. An ordinary mortal would be in prison. This is like watching the Hillary Bill Clinton thing all over again, kinda, isn't it? I mean, you got all the salacious nature of it. If we had got to know everything there was to know about Bill Clinton, we probably would have found out a lot of the same kind of stuff, people. Think about it. They now found out Bill Clinton took many more flights on Epstein's plane over to fantasy young girl island. And Hillary Clinton's over there talking about, he's more like Trump. Let's play the clip.
Behavior cannot be tolerated anywhere, whether it's in entertainment, politics. After all, we have someone admitting to being a sexual assaulter in the Oval Office. There has to be a recognition that we must stand against this kind of, action that is so sexist and misogynistic.
And this depends upon women coming forward and having the courage to come forward.
Right.
And yet in your book, the 3 women brought onto stage by Trump attacking your husband, and you kind of dismissed them. Was that the right thing to do? Are you sure about that?
Well, yes, because that had all been litigated. I mean, that was the subject of a huge, investigation, as you might recall, in the late 90s. And there were conclusions drawn, and that was clearly in the past.
Welcome back. It's funny to listen to Hillary Clinton talk about, Bill Clinton. It's litigated. Well, as you know, that was, it was back in the 90s when people start giving you a lot of information. That you've hit a hot button. It was litigated. There were, it was done, and that's been litigated. It was in the past. Really? So what exactly would Trump's thing have been that was decades old, where he talked about grabbing women by the blankety blanks, right? It was in the past. Was it litigated? No. Nobody sued. Nobody sued Hillary. Man, this idea that she's going to that's so funny to me. I mean, I don't even want to call it a level of desperation. I used to think that they were desperate and the left just didn't know what to do, so they were just grasping for straws. They believe their nonsense. They believe a lot of junk, stupid, idiotic things about themselves, and she thinks that the Clinton thing's over. Everything she described was Bill Clinton. Well, he is a sexual harasser in the White House. Yeah, your husband. Your husband. Oh, and when you invited Anthony Weiner over, and probably a litany of other people, we'll find out. Guys, look, if you think Hollywood is dirty, you don't know D.C. D.C. makes Hollywood look tame. D.C.'s like Caligula. I mean, it's just amazingly corrupt and debaucherous. It's all of it. Hillary Clinton on the sexual assaulter in the White House. Did you know Harvey Weinstein donated, I think it was $10,000 to Bill Clinton's legal defense fund when he was going through the situation with Monica? You know, I hate to admit this, but it's just so true. The left disguise their help. Like when Weinstein gives $10,000 to Bill Clinton, he's more than saying I support you. You know, he's trying to imply he's a friend and I'm going to help him out and I'm a good guy. Weinstein was feathering his nest. We've talked about this. He was feathering his nest. He needed to be able to pull in a chit. Hey, Bill, gave you $10,000 for legal defense fund. We'll do a fundraiser. Get a few other people to do that. Boom. Clintons know they're covered. Remember, Hillary talked about being dead broke, but they've recovered. The Clintons, by the time they left the Oval Office, they had their scheme in place. They were ready to go. And you got Harvey Weinstein enabling. Still doing the same old stuff, man. These people are scurrilous. That's what I tell you. Jimmy Kimmel, you saw the video probably, right? Him getting girls to grab his crotch. What's up with that, Jimmy Kimmel? And I'm no, paragon of virtue or anything. I'm not trying to get people to follow me. Yeah, you are. You want people to see that you have no bounds, no boundaries. And he was successful. It's an interesting clip.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Hey, Neil, to blame former President Obama for emboldening the Iranian regime.
We will see what happens with Iran. We're very unhappy with Iran. They have not treated us with the kind of respect that they should be treating. They should have thanked Barack Obama for making that deal. They were gone. They were economically gone. He infused $100 to $150 billion into their economy. He gave them $1.7 billion in cash. And they should be, thank you, President Obama. They didn't say that.
All right, everybody. Welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. So there was another statement that got made about this because Donald Trump is going to town on crushing the Obama legacy. And he's not doing it maliciously. He's doing it because it's just the smart thing to do. But here's Anderson Cooper commenting on it, and we'll talk a little bit more about it ourselves. But check this out.
Tonight, something we simply have not seen before. Every president, going back to the beginning, comes into office with his own ideas about how to govern, his own priorities, his own agenda, some or even all of it differing from the previous chief executive. Never, though, have we seen a president so seemingly bent on reversing, negating, even obliterating his predecessor's signature accomplishments. Today, President Trump struck a body blow at Obamacare. He did the same to the multi-country nuclear agreement with Iran. And over the last 9 months, the president has reversed or tried to reverse a long list of President Obama's actions on immigration, on children of undocumented immigrants, the Paris Climate Accord, Cuban President Obama's Clean Power Plan. If you want to know what President Trump is against, you only have to look at what President Obama was for. And in all fairness, none of this should be a surprise. He campaigned on much of it, and if nothing else, he's keeping his promises now. What may be surprising, though, or at least being widely debated, is how much of this is personal. What also stands out in both actions today is how each one shifts responsibility and accountability away from the White House onto Congress. And on health care, how little consideration was given for the consequences of undoing something, Obamacare, without a replacement for it.
One by one, it's going to come down, and we're going to have great health care in our country. We are going to have great health care in our country. We're taking a little different route than we had hoped, because getting Congress, they forgot what their pledges were. So we're going a little different route. But you know what? In the end, it's going to be just as effective, and maybe it'll even be better.
That was the president today after announcing late last night he was immediately ending cost-sharing subsidies that reimburse insurers for reducing deductibles and copays of lower-income Americans on Obamacare. Nearly 6 million people benefit from them. The president put their fate in the hands of Congress.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. Where do you start? I guess we should begin where they ended. Let's just talk about Obamacare. So here's one of President Obama's spokespersons, kind of in the name of Mulvaney, explaining the Obamacare failure. And then I want to go into the actual details of the policy so you can see that Donald Trump doesn't take it personally. But I love how Anderson Cooper implies that his dismantling of Obamacare and all the other issues regarding Obama's legacy is a personal issue. But he really points out, well, you know, he did run on this. In fairness to him, he ran on these on what he's living up to. It just cracks me up that the left goes, yeah, he ran on this. It wasn't like it was a secret. It wasn't like he said, I'll run on Obama's legacy, and then when I get in, I'll disregard it. Donald Trump said, everything this guy did is wrong. I'm going to prove it. When I get in, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go after Obamacare. I'm going to go after these trade deals. I'm going to go after the Iran nuclear deal. He's done everything he talked about, and he's given the rationale for doing it. You can see it. Finally, we get a chance to look behind all of these different issues, and we understand why he's doing what he's doing. And what do? He wants to get rid of his legacy. No, he doesn't. He wants to solidify his legacy. What Trump is doing is saying, I'm going to show you why we're getting rid of this, why you should be happy that I'm here and I'm getting rid of this, and you don't have to live with it. But let's hear Mulvaney, and then we'll go into the other clips.
Does want to see Obamacare fail?
I think the president, along with most of us, know that the Obamacare is failing on its own and didn't need any help to do so. We made this decision because it was bad policy and because the payments were...
But this will speed it up.
It was going fast enough as it is. If you're willing to admit to me here tonight that Obamacare is going to fail and that we need to repeal and replace it, I'll agree with your premise.
So in that clip, that's one of the White House spokespeople, Mulvaney. He's talking about Obamacare, and he's like, it was going to fail because what President Trump did. And welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. You can get these podcasts on demand if you want at kjradio.com. But what he was saying that President Trump did when he issued an executive order that stopped the subsidies is he says he just did what was supposed to happen with Obamacare because it was going to fail regardless. But why did he do the subsidies? Wolf Blitzer saying he's trying to put it on the fast track. He wants it to fail even faster, which is essentially Wolf Blitzer admitting that he knows Obamacare is a failure. He's saying, well, okay, so we can all admit it's going to fail, but would it fail as fast? And he wants an answer to the speed of failure. Well, you know, when do you think it would have failed without the subsidies being put on notice? But let's talk about the subsidies, because Betsy McCaughey talked about the Obamacare subsidies and what President Trump is doing with these, which is very interesting, and it's certainly not being covered by the left.
Well, the president is actually abiding by the law and upholding this very important document, the United States Constitution. These subsidies were not authorized and appropriated by Congress. The money to pay for them is not in this law.
Does this remind you of anything, folks? Welcome back. Kevin Jackson here. Remember DACA, the DREAM Act, illegally implemented by Barack Obama? And what does President Trump do? President Trump says, I'm going to repeal it. It can't exist. I'm shipping it back to Congress. So he shifted it back to Congress. Why? Because these leftists in Congress, including the Republicans, he's saying, I'm going to force your hand. You want to let a bunch of illegals in? I'm going to let everybody in this country know that's what you wanted to do. When it comes to this one, Obamacare and the subsidies, he sent it back to Congress. He's saying to the Republican-controlled House and Senate, if you want to let these subsidies through, I'm going to let you own it. And then I'm going to clean house. What a setup. What a beautiful setup. I'll clean house. I love how, I don't know if people really appreciate the strategy of Donald Trump and some of these things. It's actually pretty uncanny. And I love how he's doing it. Like I said, folks, it could be completely by luck. And some of it certainly has to be. Divine intervention, God, putting his, hand over all of it. I mean, and that's just the case of everything, the way I live my life. I believe everything that happens is done with the, God's blessing for whatever reason. But what I'm getting at is there's still you have to orchestrate what you want to happen. And Donald Trump is one of the best puppet masters in the business. And the more that they dismiss him, the better for him. Well, I want to play this last clip. And it's Tucker Carlson talking about the cost of illegal immigration, because that was one of the points that they made was the Iran nuclear deal dismantled, immigration, Paris Accord. He's living up to his promises, but is it personal, they asked. Well, here's the clip from Tucker on illegal immigration.
Federation for American Immigration Reform finds that this country's approximately 11 million illegal immigrants cost taxpayers about $135 billion per year in medical, education, and law enforcement expenses. Now, there's an offset to this, taxes. And yet, according to the study, these illegal immigrants pay only about $19 billion a year in taxes. That leaves a deficit, which you pay, of $116 billion. Now, even by Washington standards, that's a huge number. To put it into some perspective, Americans spend only about $70 billion every year paying tuition at public colleges and universities. So if you eliminated the expenses of illegal immigrants, we could make every public college in the country tuition free and still have nearly $50 billion left over to, fix decaying infrastructure or subsidize health insurance to the middle class, or probably a lot more. So it's worth considering as we debate border control and amnesty, these numbers.
Welcome back, everybody. So I go to the fair event almost every year, and we talk about these issues and their cost to the taxpayer. You have Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton running around talking about free education, but we're squandering it on foreigners who come over here illegally, not even honoring our laws, and they don't even talk about the numbers. Those are the numbers. And look, we can argue about, is it this much, is it that much? We can quibble all you want. Fact is, we know there's a cost to the American citizen that the left ignore. Love the way Donald Trump has a way of bringing these things to light by accident or by design.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
What's up, everybody? Kevin Jackson here at the Kevin Jackson Show. Antifa wants to wage war on conservatives, and they set a date. Are you guys aware of this? The date is November the 4th. I don't know why they picked that date, but it's November the 4th. It's coming up. I will be hosting Fox and Friends on the 4th and the 5th, I believe. That's a Saturday and Sunday. So I will be immune to Antifa, but you better be on the lookout. Hey, you want to know where they won't be waging war against conservatives? Just FYI. Anywhere that guns are legal. Antifa will wage war like they will go crazy in Berkeley. They'll go bananas in Chicago. But they're not going to do anything in, say, Dallas or Houston, because you mess with a Texan and you'll get shot. They're not going to do anything in Arizona. Had a guy move from L.A. to Arizona, and he said to me, he goes, you know what's interesting about Arizona? I said, well, he goes, the people are nice. I went, really? They're not nice in L.A.? He was a driver, black dude from L.A., been here 3 months. And he says, yeah, man. I said, why do you think they're nice? He said, because everybody's got a gun. I said, no, that's not why they're nice. They're nice because you don't know who has one. It's legitimate to have it. So they figure everybody has one. So everybody treats people with respect. Everybody's an equalizer. I go, look, I got 4 black belts. Do you think I can get I'm all crazy? Somebody pulls out a gun and says, hey, nice to talk to you, Bill. Bill the accountant, who's never trained for anything in his life except going to the shooting range. And because, you got to get your license to carry, these people go, they practice, they do what they're supposed to do. They are good, solid citizens with handguns. And I live amongst them. He said, man, I saw a dude walking into a place with a hand. I was like, what? What's he doing with that hand? Because it's not conceal and carry here. It's open carry. And he's like, I didn't know. Man, I was like, what? What's going on? Yeah, they're legal here. And and I was joking when I go, you didn't think about robbing him, did you? He started laughing. Oh, man. Hey, Tesla fired 700 employees. Tesla is the belle of the ball when it comes to car manufacturers. Elon Musk has come up with this great car. Now he wants to enter the cheap car market. He wants to make an affordable Tesla that everybody can drive. So he staffed up for it. He got everybody all goo gaga over it. He started accepting orders. This car is like it's the equivalent of a Prius. It's no big deal. Which I'm going to tell you something. I drove one of these. I think it was a Prius. It was by accident. I rented a car, and that's what they gave me. And it was really cool to drive this car. The car got 47 miles per gallon, which was interesting. But what it does is when you go to like a stoplight, it goes into electric mode. You take off, you hear nothing. You don't know that car is on. And it was so cool. And of course, it had all these electronic gadgets, and it told you, how the battery thing is. I'll put it to you this way. When the batteries are to the point where people go, man, my batteries lasted me 10 years on my car, I'll buy an electric car. Because they said to replace the batteries, it's like $6,000. It's like effectively buying another car, a used car. I don't want that. But I love driving that car. It was, it's not like it's going to race off the line, but it was good pickup. When it kicked into gasoline mode, it did great. It monitored between what mode you were in, it gave you all kinds of diagnostics. I was impressed. And I could see why people want to own it. If you're just booting around town and you need an A to B car, great car to have. But Tesla firing 700 employees, look, I'm all for green energy. I promise you, I want to see it get proliferate. I want to see it all the way through. I saw a car the other day, a CNG car, compressed natural gas. I want to say it was a Toyota. And I don't know where the guy gets his gasoline, but I've seen specialty stations, and I'm sure he's got them mapped out. But his car was CNG. I would love to see more compressed natural gas cars. I think the electric one is cooler just because of, it doesn't have it's not making any sound. It was just quiet. And I cranked it and went, oh, shoot, it's not on. I was cranking it. I was like, oh, it's on. I'm on. Hello. I'm on. Oh, my goodness. We got a lot to talk about. We're not going to get out of we're not going to drop the subject of Weinstein, folks. Nor, as you saw from Sunday, will we drop the subject of football. I saw a story. I didn't watch any games, as you guys know. But I saw a story where the Jets got cheated out of a touchdown or something. And it was trending on Twitter, which I'm still on lockdown on Twitter. I'm going to get to that here in a second. But I saw a thing. 113,000 people were looking at the story about the Jets, and I went, oh, I want to see what that's about. Is it a big, bunch of people sitting or whatever? And the Jets got cheated out of a touchdown. I'm like, man, I'm not. Who cares? How much football? Did you guys watch football this weekend? I watch nothing. I will not watch football on Monday. I won't watch it on Thursday. I love reporting the numbers. To me, this is like the old Chicago killings over the weekend. I got to give you the stats. All I know is NFL still down. Do we have the Thursday? Did you guys give me the Thursday night stats? I've completely forgot there was a Thursday game. If you put a gun to my head and said, Kevin, who played on Thursday? I would have to guess and hope that you wouldn't kill me. Throw myself on the mercy of the sports fanatic because I would not know. Don't know and I don't care. Hey, we're doing some cool stuff. I need my buddy Kirk. Kirk runs the radio stuff for us now. He's putting together some really cool promos and stuff. Man, I got to tell you, brother's got a great story. I'm going to have Kirk on the show, and he and I are going to talk about his past. This dude was truly, just somebody you got to get to know. You guys have already gotten to know Brett, the crazy millennial. What's Brett called? What you call yourself? The disgruntled millennial? Why you disgruntled, man? You got a dream job working over here with me. The disgruntled millennial. You need to change it to the happy place millennial or something, man, and let people know when you get to work with Kevin Jackson, you're having a great time. I want people to know that. Anyway, I do want to talk more about Weinstein. I want to talk about the Clintons, and I want to tell you a story about my Twitter ban, but I want to tell it to you, pardon me, from the standpoint of a young lady who got banned from Twitter, and she's a leftist. And I think that's where this story kind of takes an interesting turn, is that she is a leftist and what Twitter did to her. Here's our tweet of the day. NBC News ran 1,000 Trump stories with anonymous sources, but refused to run Harvey Weinstein's story with police reports and eyewitnesses.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful 4-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. On the side of the winners, we have ourselves a warrior, a rock star president, billionaire bad boy that is absolutely taking America and the world by storm. People don't like it when you say it, but it's a fact. Donald Trump is doing it. He's doing exactly what he told us he would do. Donald Trump has addressed immigration. He's got the left on tilt. He took away DACA. Unconstitutional DACA, I should say. He got us out of the Paris Climate Accord. It's got the left on tilt. What do we do? How do we bilk them out of money? He got us out of the Iran nuclear deal and called it what it was. He's now working on Obamacare, dismantling it brick by brick, vile brick by brick. He's already given you the ability. Did he do the executive order to let it go through cross, different lines, state lines and all that? He's working on that. I mean, the guy's a rock star, and he's telling you right now, hey, I'm trying to work with Congress. They don't want to do it. He's undoing the constitutionality of Obamacare, of DACA. He's getting us out of trade deals, NAFTA and the TPP. He's stabilizing the currency. He's lowering unemployment. He's raising the United States' borrowing power. He's trimming the debt. He's cutting the deficit. He's looking at things practically, saying to all of his directors, you got to cut your budgets. He's strengthening the military. He's going around the world. Did you guys just see the story where he got this couple back who'd been held by the Taliban? I don't even want to know. This woman went over there. I don't know how they got caught. I don't know how they got in a situation where they got captured. But, he may have been a contractor. Had his family over there, 2 kids. His wife was pregnant. Obama let him languish over there. And Trump gets him back. No telling what happened to this woman. Can you imagine? You think the Taliban went, leave him alone. That is his wife. That man, that is his wife. This woman was brutalized, taken probably every night away from her husband and kids, then sent back. And you know what she went through. You think Obama cared? You think the left care about the war on women? Shoot, for all intents and purposes, that's what Harvey Weinstein does. Anyway, Trump got him freed. Nobody's saying a word about it. I mean, if you go back, honestly, if you look, we should do a segment strictly on things that the media hasn't mentioned about Trump. It's some of the things that are just blow your mind. Things that he's accomplishing that if it were Obama, you'd be getting accolades on top of accolades. But because it's Trump, not a single mention. This freeing of this couple, I think, is a huge deal. Obama couldn't do it. Maybe we'll cover that as just a separate story because it's worth it. So, the guy's a rock star. He's got the Hollywood on the run, which means leftists are on the run because these people they're afraid. They talk about the war on women. They talk about Donald Trump grabbing women by this or that. Donald Trump just made a woman, added another woman to his cabinet. Anybody say anything about that? He's got lots of women in his cabinet now. Chu, Betsy DeVos. He's got Sarah Sanders, Huckabee. He's got press secretaries out the wazoo. He's got Omarosa. Here she may be leaving. But black women, Asian women, you name it. Women in powerful positions. They're not saying a word. Because the left, they don't want you to know what this guy's doing. But you know what? Don't feel bad. It doesn't matter. Donald Trump is going to get the word out. He dominates them with Twitter. I would love to see Twitter ban Donald Trump. I'd love to see him do it. Wouldn't you? Just ban him and see what happens. Donald Trump would make some serve. I would love to have an anti-Twitter, a counter to Twitter. I wish he'd come over to Tea Party community. For those of you who have been experiencing problems with Tea Party community, know that we changed the platform. People tried to hack us at our root level, and our tech team had to shut the site down in order to go after the hackers. So he had some issues, but they're getting resolved. I'm telling you how bad they don't want us to succeed. That's how badly they don't want us to succeed. Not going to happen. Another thing that's been happening, folks, that you need to be aware of is the left's twisted definition of courage. I love watching Trump dismantling these guys. And as the left start to come out of their rat holes in Hollywood, they say things like, it's now time that I speak out. And they say it in such a way that you're like, oh, well, thanks for coming out, Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey just made a comment. Harvey Weinstein, I had a lot of respect for you until you buggered one of my friends. And at that point, I lost respect. Did he say anything? Did Kevin Spacey come out and go, man, that Harvey Weinstein, he sexually assaulted one of my friends? Nope. He just lost respect and moved on. Yeah, because these guys do not want to stop working. It is the unspoken threat of Hollywood is there. They don't have to say anything. Why do you think conservatives shut up? But do you really believe, honestly, that Hollywood has, I mean, let's say for the sake of discussion, we know that the nation's roughly 50-50 conservative to liberal. I personally don't believe that. I think it's probably closer to 70-30 conservative. But Hollywood wants you to believe it's 98% liberal. You believe that? You believe the people that get up every day and have to serve those pretentious punks and princesses believe as they do? These are the people mowing their yards, picking up their dry cleaning, making their fruit baskets or whatever else. Do you honestly? I know it's in California, but see, it's one thing to be away from it in Bakersfield making a living. It's another when you see how the other half live and then pretend that they're like one of you. Those people in Hollywood, I bet you Hollywood's 40% conservative if it's not higher. People are fronting over there. They won't tell you the truth because they're afraid to. All these people who now claim not to know, these people that claim they only knew a little bit, and now coming forward, people are now talking about the courage. Like the courage of Jason Collins when he came forward as being gay. Oh, he's so courageous. Look at him. Let's give him an award for his courage. And I tell you all the time, the courage of a guy who lied to a chick about being heterosexual when he's on the down low, he could have given this lady HIV. Who knows? He could have changed her life in so many, probably has. She's thinking she's dating a guy that wants to marry her, and he's out there looking for dudes. Yeah, but he's courageous. So these people now stepping forward are courageous? It's nonsense. Not courageous at all. They're cowards is what they are. Let's not get it twisted, America. Know your definitions.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Our society still does not sufficiently value women. We still don't condemn sexual assault as loudly as we should.
Women's rights are human rights, and human rights are women's rights, and I believe that with all my heart.
We make excuses. We look the other way.
I went to 112 countries for all of you. I raised it in every country.
The message that sends can have a chilling effect on our young women.
I looked across the table at dictators and authoritarians and chauvinists and sexists and misogynists. Yeah.
I want to start by thanking Harvey Weinstein. He is a wonderful human being, a good friend, and just a powerhouse.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here, fellow at the Robert J. Dole Institute of Politics, author of 3 best-selling books, the latest being Race Pimping. Get it at racepimping.com. We're putting together something here soon at my fellowship location, which is at the Robert J. Dole Institute of Politics in Lawrence, Kansas. So we're trying to put something together, a debate series or something. I would love to debate Richard Fowler or some Holly weirdo on what's going on right now with Weinstein. By the way, that was the GOP ran a commercial, and that was them showing Barack Obama talking about, how he's going to help women. Hillary Clinton talking about helping women all over the world, for goodness sake. It's all about the women. And meanwhile, right under their noses, they're letting a sexual predator roam freely. Took a while to disavow him, didn't it? It took Hillary 5 days to make a statement. I don't know how long it took the Obamas, but it was somewhere along the same lines. Nobody knew what to do. And you know what? You know what really scares them? You know why they're delaying it? Why they delayed it? They didn't know who else was going to be involved. They were scared. Don't get it twisted, folks. They know what's going on. And Chelsea Clinton, she She's running from the media over something so small, it's crazy to me that you wouldn't just confront it. They get used to this. It's easy to trigger these people. Daily Mail reporter asked Chelsea, will the foundation give back the donation from Harvey Weinstein? Do you plan to return the $100,000? It's chump change, right? For the Clinton Foundation, it's absolute chump change. They've made billions. According to the reporter, Chelsea looked straight ahead and ignored the question as she scurried through the side lot and ducked into her waiting black sedan. Security blocked the reporter from asking Chelsea the question again. But they said it wasn't the only time that Chelsea was asked the question. Same thing happened. Didn't say a word. Different event. How did Bill Clinton respond? Former president was asked the same question on a Friday night, responded in a similar manner. When a reporter tried to get close, ask about the donation, the communications officials from the Clinton Foundation blocked the reporter. Hillary says she's going to donate the money to a charity. And I suspect the Clintons have another charity set up that Hillary will donate it to, or it'll go to a friend's charity. If you think for 1 second the Clintons are going to dump this money into something that doesn't get them payback, you don't know the Clintons. Just the way it is. I want to go into something that happened, though, that it happened on Twitter, and it really shows more about leftism than a lot of the other things that have happened. And you get to see the underexposed, dirty underbelly of Hollywood's sex for play scandal. See, it's just an ugly truism of the left that's now showing itself in the light of day. Now, we conservatives, we've complained that social media is a leftist media outlet. They don't want us there. When we speak truth to power, they get upset. And apparently, when it comes to exposing lecherous leftists, the progressives will willingly eat their own. So I read an article in Z Review, and here's what they said. Earlier today, Twitter closed Rose McGowan's actor, producer, director account. She's a sane, accomplished veteran of the movie industry. Why silence her? Rose McGowan was one of the first people to make bold public statements and gestures regarding the brutal misogyny in the film industry. Her frustration, anger, and disbelief moved her to do what so many other women in entertainment have not done. McGowan spoke out. She still speaks out. She names names, identifies who did what, and publicizes the negative consequences of their actions. Rose McGowan has been holding the torch for women in Hollywood for years. Sure, she's an activist and a thorn in some people's sides, but why go after her now? What they're saying, folks, is Rose McGowan has been talking about this for a while. She's been the only one brave enough to say it. And you know what they did? The leftists blacklisted her and made her out to be a kook. She's made lambasting Harvey Weinstein part of her career as an activist, and prior to last week, the accounts she related to media sources were reported, but with a bit of skepticism. Talking about the accounts of Harvey Weinstein's actions. They go on to say this: if no one else was saying what she was, why assume she was saying the absolute truth? Maybe she just had an axe to grind. See, that's what they do. They separate you out from the herd, and then they let the hyenas have you. And that's exactly what Hollywood did to Rose McGowan, with many people knowing. I don't need to take you through the litany of actors, and it isn't just women, it's men as well. There are no men on the left. See, because real men would have braced Harvey Weinstein up in a corner one night and given him a blanket party. And real women would have taken care of him the same way. I'm talking about conservative women. Try that crap with conservative women, Harvey Weinstein. Any of you Holly weirdos. They tried it with Stacey, I forget her last name, but you know what I'm talking about. Talked about her earlier in the broadcast. They tried it with her. They tried it with Tippi Hedren years ago, and she said, I'll leave. She left Hollywood. Said, forget you guys. Strong women say, I don't have to tolerate this. I had a girl, she worked for me. Little country girl. Didn't have to work. And I tried to train her. And she was tough to train, but I liked her attitude. And one day I was too hard on her. I come back from lunch and she'd screwed something up pretty good. And I was like, Jean, come on now. God, I told you how to do this, that, and the other. And she just started packing up her stuff. And I said, what are you doing? She goes, Kevin, I really appreciate all the time you spent with me and trying to train me and everything. She goes, I'm just not getting it. And she goes, and I feel aggravated because I'm letting you down. And she goes, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need to work. My husband makes a lot of money, blah, blah, blah. And she said, so, I just would rather, let's be friends. All right. We gave each other a hug and she walked away. After I pinched her butt. No, I'm kidding. I'm just joking. I didn't do that. That would have been Ben Affleck or some Hollywood. My point to it is, strong woman said, this isn't for me. And she left. End of story. No hard feelings. I didn't harass her in any way other than expected her to do her job. And she wanted to. But anyway, this girl, Rose McGowan, has been vocal. Men and women in high-ranking places knew about this. And you know the protection given to that man? That guy, Harvey Weinstein? And oh, by the way, many others. It's terrible. And don't think it's Harvey Weinstein just going after women that they're hiding. They got people who make a living going off of little boys and little girls, pedophiles. Gay pedophiles, too. Not that it matters. I mean, a pedophile is a pedophile. But I'm saying, don't just think it's the girls. We told you a story of Terry Crews and some gay director going up and grabbing him in his naughty bits and then just telling him, winking at him like, get over yourself. I mean, he couldn't do that in the real world. In the real world, if Rose McGowan were approached by the CEO of one of America's big companies, can you imagine Tillerson being Harvey Weinstein at ExxonMobil? The guy, his career would be over. The dude would be homeless, living on the streets of Houston, Texas. But man, you can get away with it in Hollywood forever. Why? They all hide behind their charities. Look at the great job we do helping women and children, helping Africans, helping Guatemalans and El Salvadorans. Look at us. We're so cool. Don't ask for their help. Comes with a price.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177. Or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson here. I want to finish talking about Rose McGowan, who was a whistleblower for Harvey Weinstein for quite a bit of time, last decade and a half at least. Nobody listened to her. Her cries fell on deaf ears. Everybody just presuming she was the only one, which wasn't the case. They all knew that she wasn't. Dozens. Now they're all coming out of the woodwork. And I don't know if you guys saw the meme of all the entertainers, the girls who was it, Beyonce, Rihanna, Miley Cyrus, a couple of others, Madonna, I don't know some of the others, but they did a montage of them, and all of them were grabbing their crotches, grabbing themselves by the you-know-what. There was a girl recently that was interviewed on one of the late-night talk show hosts. I think it was that guy Seth something, and she said something like, I would have shown my breasts to a producer to get a particular role, and she wanted to play Robert De Niro's love interest in a film, so she goes, I'd do it in a heartbeat. Well, what else would she do in a heartbeat? Jimmy Kimmel, he's running around the street asking women to grab his crotch in Hollywood. So then they say, well, Trump, he's talking about grabbing women by the whatever. There's more evidence that that's easy to do that with practically anybody in Hollywood. By the way, a product of the feminist movement, a product of leftism. That's who you can place that right on the shoulders of feminism and leftism. Women that I'm just as empowered as a man. Why can't I just go up and grab a guy by the crotch? You can. Absolutely. Go for it. Certainly ladylike, isn't it? Yeah. So you have all this brewing. Meanwhile, Harvey Weinstein is people know what's going on. Rose McGowan is absolutely vocal about who he is. You've got Hollywood making innuendo. Courtney Love saying, well, if you're going to come to Hollywood, don't go to a private party with Harvey Weinstein. You've got Seth MacFarlane going after him in a bit, saying, well, at least these ladies here no longer have to pretend that Harvey's a good-looking guy and they want to be with him or whatever. You've got other videos of people in a subtle way, referencing Harvey Weinstein. We wouldn't even catch this stuff in sitcoms and things like this. All these things that were meant to go after HW. And then when it finally happens, they blow the whistle on him. Everybody now knows it. What does Twitter do? Twitter shuts down the whistleblower. Twitter punishes the victim. What is it that the left talks about all the time? Twitter punishes Rose McGowan because she dares say, I told you so. I've been talking to you guys about this for ages. Let's disable her account. And the only reason why they brought her off of suspension was because she made the story public. And then women came to her, her aid, I guess you could say, and said, we're not going to be on Twitter, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how big the boycott would have been, but she was able to get Twitter to take a serious look at it. And so they put her on a 12-hour lockdown. See, I'm on a 7-day lockdown because I tweeted to Hillary Clinton and Ashley Judd, would you please, I asked them a very serious question. Can you tell me if you have the equivalent to an Uncle Tom in the feminist movement? Is there a word for it that people are calling you? And then they shut me down. I was legit. I wanted to know, what do they call sellouts that tell women they're going to help them and do nothing of the sort? Because that's what they did. Ashley Judd, with all the venom and vitriol you can muster, was in D.C. with her little pink, vagina head on, talking about Donald Trump. Meanwhile, knowing the decades of abuse that Harvey Weinstein has been unleashing on people. Hillary Clinton the same way. Michelle Obama, many others. They hobnob, they know, they hear the whispers. They've been to enough events with Harvey to know people are going, wow. And you know why Harvey liked being seen with them? With the president and first ladies and aides to these people? You know why? Because it insulated him. People looked at Harvey. They said, he may not be the richest guy in Hollywood, but this dude is with the movers and the shakers. He's friends with Michelle Obama and Barack Obama. He's friends with the Clintons. He's friends with the entire cabinet. He's the reason why your money, it's taxpayer money, you conservatives, we conservatives, is being spent in Hollywood on nonsense. They're making the movies that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and those ilk ask him to make. He's running a marketing firm on behalf of leftism that we fund, and that is the reason why they let him get away with whatever he wanted to. It took Rose McGowan to bring it to the fore. Now you can go, well, Kevin, it took Ashley Judd. She finally said something and whatever. Okay, fine. I don't care. Ashley Judd hasn't been the vocal one throughout this entire time. Certainly hasn't. It's been Rose McGowan. She is the, what's her name? Rosa Parks of this movement. That's right. A white woman blew the whistle on this man. This guy that's a lech. It wasn't Hillary Clinton. It wasn't Susan Sarandon. It wasn't Scarlett Johansson. It wasn't any of these other Holly weirdos, but Jane Fonda. You think Jane Fonda hasn't seen her bit of sexual harassment in a day? And here's the thing of it, and I'm not making excuses, but, Fonda and those people probably are like, whatever. You blew it off. You can't blow it off anymore, not today, because of what people have done, because of what the left have done to the state of America, to the state of just, quite frankly, to the state of social, just society in general. So now Rose McGowan has started a movement. It's got people coming out, talking about this. Craziest things are being discussed too. Maybe it'll force the snowflakes to grow up. Whatever the case, Twitter needs to pay a high price for for siding with the establishment. Banning this woman for any length of time for her getting the truth out. See, I think what I did as well, when I put at Hillary Clinton and at Ashley, they're like, you can't do anything that will trigger them, that will be perceived as, antagonistic. I wasn't antagonizing them. It was a tongue-in-cheek, very clever way of asking them how they were sellouts. How does it feel like to be a sellout? See, I'm not a sellout. People call me Uncle Tom, whatever. I don't care. That's a compliment, by the way. But even if it were derogatory, truly derogatory, and not just meant to be derogatory, it doesn't matter. I'm not a sellout. As one of my friends would say, I'm a buy-in. But I don't need to be a buy-in. I'm who I am. And I've witnessed what I've witnessed. And I'll call it out. And if Donald Trump had done what Harvey Weinstein had done, I would be asking for his resignation. It's that simple. This is just one of these weird things. Anyway, I do want to cover something with the NFL. Well, it's not a weird thing. I don't know why I said that. It's a weird situation, I guess is what I meant to say. I hate when I'm not clear, because sometimes you do radio and you think everybody, they understand me. No, they don't. Anyway, thanks for pointing that out, buddy. So, NFL protests happened over the weekend. 7 San Francisco 49ers knelt during the anthem on Sunday. Safeties Eric Reed, Andrian Butler, linebackers Dakota Watson, Eli Harold, receiver Marquise Goodwin, defensive lineman Eric Armstead, and cornerback Kwan Williams. The Miami Dolphins players stood for the anthem, while wide receiver Kenny Stills, safety Michael Thomas, and tight end Julius Thomas remained off the field. The trio previously knelt during the anthem, but Dolphins coach Adam Gase implemented a policy requiring all players to stand. Well, it's not just all players should stand, they should all be with the team. But you know what? That's his workaround. Fine, I don't care. The NFL's going nowhere. Most New Orleans Saints players knelt before the anthem played on Sunday. ESPN reported that all the players then stood while the anthem played, and then some locked arms. The team was met with boos when they knelt and cheers when they stood. So that's the update. And then, of course, we've got tonight's game, and I'll tell you what happened with that. But the interesting thing to me is that the league still hasn't put out a policy that's definitive that would put an end to this. They alluded to it and still haven't done it. It'll happen within 2 weeks. It'll be definitive. No more monkey business. And I know people go, ooh, Kevin, you can't. I can't say that. Yeah, maybe you can't, but I can. I got to leave it there, folks. Thanks for listening to the Kevin Jackson Show. We'll be back again tomorrow.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.